Buckle up. I have a story to tell you. And don't make fun of me. It's called 223 West Jackson. I'm going to read from a script, and you're just not going to judge me on this one, okay? We'll start at the beginning. I came from an interview at 223 West Jackson in the fall. It was a nice day out and perfect time for a new opportunity. I saw a job posting, most likely on Craigslist, and got an interview. Getting an interview is the hardest part. When I got there, you could just smell the marijuana. I remember Mike and Mark and Andy, Dan and Zach. It was an interesting day. They were looking for someone to do phone support, and I love helping customers. Did I know Microsoft products? Yes, I'm Microsoft Certified Professional, studying for my MCSE. Did I like taking calls? Okay, I'll do that. Can I work second shift? Of course. I could sleep in during the day. Perfect for my lifestyle. When can I start? As soon as possible. I took the Brown Line to Quincy for many years after that. Now, they weren't happy with Mike. He was too sassy. And that's me as a gay guy saying that even I knew he was too sassy. He got fired. And they hired Matt Wolf. Rest in peace, bro. Matt Wolf was a nice guy. The best Jewish friend I ever had, by the way. We were best buds. We didn't always agree with each other, but we kept each other very balanced. We created a support documentation and billing rules and tried to keep the clients up and running and communicate with their server guys. Now, I can tell you I've worked with a bunch of straight guys before. Who hasn't? But these guys, the server guys, they were unhinged. Not Matt and I. Of course, they were doing coke, drinking, partying after hours at the office. The bosses would take them out, and I was barely ever included, which is fine. I had, a whole life in Lakeview. Plenty to keep me entertained. Besides, I was there to make money, not friends. So don't be mad when I tell your side of the story too, Jay. We'll call her that. I hired Mel and Kiana and Angie, and I was asked, how many black women am I going to hire? They had a contest to win a car, and anytime they saw a black person's name, they threw their entry away. So the network guys, or technical support admins, didn't like me. They, however, loved to share girls. One day, they all got gonorrhea, the same strand. Go figure. They would take girls into the boys' bathroom and have sex with them there. They would party after hours and come in hungover and did coke and pot while on duty. Boys being boys, well, I was forced to hire Jay. Jay, yes, you are talented and you are a beautiful creature. I'll give you that. But I was forced to hire Jay and told her to go to tech support. She wanted to be in tech support. I didn't want to be her supervisor. She tried to take my job as well. She learned nothing. No policy, no procedures, didn't show up on time, had no boundaries, apparently slept with 3 of the guys already. No big deal, I guess. Lost I heard. She has a law degree and actually did something with herself. Way to go. But back to the story. She was incestuous. And part of the problem, she later got transferred to support. Meanwhile, the CEO and his buddy, they were looking to be mature and get some insurance. They complained to Andy, a coworker, that their rates were high, and they were going to be high because Mr. Rhodes, me, had AIDS. He then told all the guys in his fuckboy group not to sleep with me. The insurance came and the dirty looks were given, and I finally got insurance. One day I'm at home on my computer and the CEO texts me, which is odd. He never texts me. I'm an idiot savant and I blurted out, "You selling the company?" Now this guy was calling me. I picked up. "How do you know that?" "Well, you just told me." "You can't tell anyone. I'll see you in the office on Monday." On Monday, he tried to fire me. Instead, I got promoted to collections manager. It's funny how a conversation turns when you tell them they have $8 million in outstanding invoices and you're going to sell the company, which means any money you make before closing date is yours. Did I tell you that I'm smart? Have I said anything that's not true? Go ahead and test me. So I started the collections department. I knew people were going to be pissed. I paid 11% in commissions to keep a temp worker to collect all the money, and did they collect? I had 3 women behind a closed door office collect on all the invoices to the tune of at least $3 million in the first few months. Did I mention I was keeping track of all the salesman commissions and collections? Matt was keeping track of affiliates. Joe Starcher, troublemaker, came on board, and that's when the trouble started. He was a good delegator, bad executioner. He could boss people around, but he didn't actually do any work. And he was posting on Craigslist that he was looking for web design clients, but he didn't actually know how to do web design. He was a smooth talker. He was friends with the owner of Jackhammer. I knew him already. I had a bad taste in my mouth, but somehow he sweet-talked himself into a job with Zach and Dan. So the company eventually did get sold. The last day, Zach took us in to give us bonuses and left that night, never to be seen again. He was crying. Ditliv took over. And Mark. It's called UK2, by the way. Mark was a sweetheart, but I had to quit on him. I saw the writing on the wall. Jay called me from Utah and asked a bunch of questions about billing. She had gotten promoted to billing manager while I was in collections, but I didn't know anything about the department that she didn't know anything about the department that she ran. She took over the billing department, but she didn't learn nothing while she was working for me because she didn't actually do her job. Okay? So she calls me from Utah and says, "How do you do this process?" And I'm like, "Honey, you're on your own." I said, "I'm not giving you any answers that you're already getting paid to know." And then I made affiliate payments and I quit while my boss was on a plane. So she's out of town, he's out of town. I quit. I'm done. I'm not facing you. I'm not dealing with you. I'm not talking to you. You're not going to rebuttal me. You're not going to talk me out of it. I'm jumping off the ship with no parachute. And I don't care because I'm done with this company, okay? Then the lawsuits started. I fought the new company in court and had the case dismissed. That's the short version. Because they had no jurisdiction. They were in Utah. I was in Chicago. The company was in Chicago. Therefore, they needed to come to Chicago with their complaint. That's called jurisdiction, okay? They never did. I, however, sued them for copyright infringement and settled out of court. It wasn't about the money. It was about the years of disrespect. I filed complaints to everyone and nobody would help. The state's attorney, the EEOC, etc., etc. Then I filed a federal case about copyright infringement that changed my life. Now, I did settle for $1,200, but there's a reason why I settled for only $1,200, okay? I went to Jackhammer Bar on my birthday event, okay? April 22nd, 2016. Changed my life. I went to Jackhammer Bar on 6406 North Clark Street because I was invited by Darcy, a friend of mine who worked there. I had a few drinks, listened to some music. I was having a good time until I walked out of the restroom. That's when David, the general manager, scruffy face, white, about 5'7", 165 pounds, approached me and started being sassy, and I was sassy back. Without warning, he threw an unexpected punch to my face. Bam! And cracked me right here. My teeth are still fucked up from that, by the way. My face is still sore. I have broken teeth from that event, so go ahead and make fun of me for how my mouth looks. It wasn't cracked before that event, okay? No one has ever punched me before, okay? I didn't even ask for that. I didn't have it coming. I didn't deserve that. He didn't have a right to put his hands on me. Immediately, more people attacked. This girl came for me. I grabbed her by the hair. And this other guy came for me, and I grabbed him by the shirt. And then the bouncer came for me, and I twisted my leg around the bouncer's leg, and I took all of them down to the ground. I defended myself against all of them, okay? And when I finally got away, I went to the bathroom and locked the door. I was bleeding from my mouth. I had pictures to prove it. Blood gushing. No one asked me what happened. They were banging on the door to get to me. The cops showed up. The bar was closing, apparently, all of a sudden, right? The police response. When the police showed up, witness claimed that I had instigated it. They didn't know I was defending myself. I came out of the bathroom. If you look at the camera footage, the police officer talked to the general manager who threw the first punch. Of course he's going to lie. And then the owner. And meanwhile, I was bleeding from my mouth. I asked them, who's going to take my complaint? This man hit me. I pointed directly at the general manager. They laughed at me and told me to go home. I asked a few more times if they're going to refuse me services. I started talking to the patrol cars, hoping that they had a dash cam because they were refusing me services. They were all there for the bar. Not for me, not to help me, for the bar. Maybe somebody will actually see what happened and make sense of it. No. So I get on my bike, and I'm going down Clark Street, and I see McDonald's, and there's 2 cop cars there. So I get off my bike, and I started talking to them, and they denied me services. I asked for a supervisor. He come out of nowhere, and refused to assist. I continued biking to Lakeview, still hurt, still sore, still bleeding, on April 23rd. It's the next day now, right? I went to the Addison police station to file a complaint of battery. Officer Woods was behind the desk. He failed to provide services. He got argumentative and called me a bitch and threatened to kick my ass out front. And I just defended myself against 4 people at a bar. I had been dismissed twice by police, and now, while I was trying to file a report, bleeding and injured, another cop was threatening me. And I responded, leave your badge and your gun on the counter so at least it will be a fair fight. Now, he left a few things on the counter and came towards the entrance. He was never found for his lawsuit. Funny how a union can't find you, loser. I went home. I called the police from the safety of my house to file a complaint also about Officer Woods, to document his threats, his refusal to help, his profanity. An officer came to my house and took my complaint, standard procedure. While I was discussing the complaint over the phone with Detective Gonzalez later, who was assigned to the case, he threatened me on the phone. He says, if I have you in cuffs and I beat your ass, what do you call it? I said, that's called excessive force. Are you threatening me? He shot back. I'm coming to your house. You better be on your fucking front porch. The response was a threat and an arrest warrant. Detective Gonzalez showed up at my house with 8 officers and 3 cars, a tenured supervisor on the detective level. He had convinced his officers that he felt threatened by a phone conversation, that he needed to deploy that kind of force to arrest somebody who posed no threat at home. They put cuffs on me and restricted my blood flow. They detained me for 7 hours while Gonzalez figured out what he was going to charge me with. According to my later federal complaint, Officer cut me on the ass and let it rest an uncomfortable amount of time while the other officers were not paying attention, then shoved me in the car and slammed the door in my face. No air conditioning in the middle of summer. When he shoved me in the car, he pressed his fat, nasty, sloppy, out-of-shape body against me and breathed in my face. Now, this is July. Okay? Gonzalez never called to ask my side of the bar fight story. He had conversations with the bar instead. They let him see the video available that night. The full video would have shown that I was defending myself. It would have shown me 5 minutes before the attack, having a blast for my birthday party. Instead, Gonzalez wrote a report that portrayed me as the aggressor. He pursued charges. He filed a frivolous lawsuit designed to intimidate me. I missed 4 days of work due to stress. But the worst part was what he said on the call. In describing what he saw, he called me a slur, flailing around like a faggot. Oh, yeah, okay. You go ahead and you play that on national television, me defending myself against 4 people. It would be a lesson in how to defend yourself against 4 people. Meanwhile, the eviction. While I was fighting the bar and the police, my landlord, Alex, was moving against me in court. Alex, a gay man as well, had sexually harassed me and my guest. He refused to sign a lease agreement, and when I tried to fight the eviction in court, he lied to the judge about whether he served me properly with legal papers. He did this not once, but multiple times across multiple court dates and multiple courts. The judges allowed it. Every single judge is like, oh, he's got served. Never served. They didn't follow procedure. They didn't require proper service. They just kept letting the case move forward. Alex, I gotta change that. Hold on. Alex, because I don't want to give him any type of credit. Alex talked to every free legal counsel in the city of Chicago, preventing me from getting any free legal services. He made sure I had no lawyers to help me fight this. I wrote to the court in August 2018. The fact that this continues is harassment. I know it's part of the procedure, but it's harassment. Alexis sexually harassed me and my guest, refused to sign a lease agreement, lied to the judge about service, made my cat homeless as well. I have been permanently separated from my cat. Haven't seen her since. I miss you, Samantha. continues to threaten physical violence in public venues. He has illegally evicted me and caused me over $14,000 in damage. That's just my estimate. I lost my entire life. And I continue. The judges in multiple eviction cases have been out of line, unprofessional, and not following judicial procedure. These courts favor the landlord even if he doesn't show up to court. There needs to be additional legal counsel, as Mr. Alex talked to all legal counsel in the city available for free, preventing me from talking to any legal counsel about this case or its proceedings. And Alex didn't just evict me, he destroyed me. When I finally found another apartment, I had to pay for 2 years of rent just to get housing. On my own representation myself, pro se, I filed a lawsuit against Jackhammer Bar and Grill, 11 counts: assault, battery, emotional distress, conspiracy, unreasonable excessive force, invasion of privacy, defamation, obstruction of justice, social misconduct and ineptitude, negligence, and federal hate crime. In my complaint, I documented what actually happened. On April 22nd to April 23rd of 2016, plaintiff was invited to the Jackhammer Bar for his birthday. At the time and place aforesaid, defendant's employees worked as a bouncer and bartender. The bartender was taking shots from behind the bar and servicing customers who came to his station. Bartender stated he was also the general manager. The bouncer was watching the bar and standing. Bartender acted erratically when he walked over to Mr. Rhodes and threatened to beat his ass and threw a punch, causing Mr. Rhodes' lip to separate and bleed. Bouncer acted erratically when he came into the bathroom and yelled at Mr. Rhodes and continued to follow him as he continued to wash the blood off his face. Bar owner verbally abused Mr. Rhodes in front of the police officers when they arrived and prevented Mr. Rhodes from speaking and further threatened him. The bartender had called 911 and falsely stated that he had been hit first. He was committing perjury to protect himself. The bar employees deleted evidence. They refused to comply with the request from the city of Chicago for a copy of the tape. On the hate crime I documented, bartender, the two other individuals committed a gay bashing hate crime. He physically attacked Mr. Rhodes, an openly gay individual, because he had a personal problem with Mr. Rhodes. This malice is defined as hate. The federal lawsuit. But the bigger fight was with the Chicago Police Department. In federal court, case number 116CV07621. Go ahead and look it up. I filed an updated complaint against Detective Gonzalez with 11 counts. Harassment of a person filing a complaint, obstruction of justice, perjury, withholding evidence from complainant, coercion of officers, civil rights violations, illegal arrest, assault, sexual assault, detainment, frivolous lawsuit, improper investigation by a detective, and trespassing. In my response to the city's defense in 2017 of July, I laid it out clearly. James Gonzalez obstructed justice. James's job was to properly investigate the complaint. He never called me to ask me what my side of the story was, but he had a lot of conversations with the bar, listened to their lies and argue with them. In fact, the videotape where David is seen punching me in the face and walking away and then his friends jumping in on me would be most accurate, but David destroyed this evidence. I detailed what happened at the police station. I was never asked to assist with my own investigation. Mr. Gonzalez was more interested in hearing the bar tell their falsified part of the story so they wouldn't lose their liquor license. Not once did the officer call me to ask about my injuries, witnesses, or pictures, or to explain the perception of the other patrons who were at visual disadvantage from the incident, as they were more than 30 feet away and there is 24 inches of height difference between the two floors. Upon arriving at the station, Officer Woods provoked me and offered to beat my ass up. Therefore, I told him to leave his gun and shield on the counter so it would be a fair fight. Again, fearing from authority more bodily harm, but more than willing to defend myself. Officer Woods is 6'4" and about 240 pounds, and his behavior is unacceptable. Convergence. By 2019, everything has converged. I was fighting the Jackhammer Bar lawsuit on my own. I was fighting the federal lawsuit against the Chicago Police Department. I was homeless because Alex had destroyed my ability to rent. My cat was gone. I was fighting West Host over affiliate commissions they refused to pay, money I had earned that they were withholding. I had permanent face and nerve damage, PTSD, anxiety, and depression, and my medicine has doubled. I requested damages of $2.3 million initially. If it went to trial, I said the expectation compensation would exceed $8 million. I asked for more than money. I asked for expungement of Mr. Rhodes' entirely CPD history that is continuing to be used against him to tarnish his character, removal of all information, tramp stamp, images, and anything else that is related to being booked by CPD in Cook County and then released to the internet, forgiveness for all tickets and money refund for my car being impounded. Officers of Chicago should go under empathy training and learn to deal with different types of members of society, including the ever-growing LGBTQ community in the uptown neighborhood. The settlement. The federal case went to judgment. I won 50 grand. Woohoo. $50,000 for 7 hours of illegal detention for sexual assault by an officer, for discriminatory investigation, for harassment when I tried to file a report, for a slur used to describe me on a call, for arresting me in retaliation for reporting another officer's misconduct. $50,000. Woohoo. It wasn't justice for my assailants at the bar. They were never charged. It wasn't restitution for permanent nerve damage. It wasn't compensation for the year I spent homeless. It wasn't enough to cover Alex's damage to my credit in my housing, but it was a federal judgment against the Chicago Police Department. A court found that I was right. They violated my rights. The civil rights complaint I filed with the city of Chicago, the one documenting the HIPAA violations, the discrimination from all the years earlier at Midphase. The city lost that file, literally misplaced it. No investigation, no consequences. And then there was the money from Midphase owed me, affiliate commissions they refused to pay, money I had earned, money that they withheld while I was fighting for my life in 3 different courts. So I was done with my cases. I took a train to stay at my brother's and try to figure out how to cash my check, and that was difficult. But when it cleared, I moved back to Chicago for 2 more years, and I was leaving on my own terms.